Good evening, Kindred. I am Teranz, and welcome back to more Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. Last time we became embraced, ran into a stranger who is now driving us somewhere, basically. Like, a little bit more happened than that, but that's the basic synopsis. Last time I mostly just kind of read and didn't really talk about much else, so we'll see how... I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to, like, record with a game like this where it's a lot of just me reading and doing stuff, so... Anyway, it takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the doors open, you get your bearings. You're still in New York. That much is certain. Queens, baby. After me. No sudden movements, please. You approach... I not like the fact that it kind of just does paragraphs that you have to scroll through. Anyway, you approach a nice-looking building that houses a 2-story gallery called the Art Bowl. 2 large men in suits flank the door on both sides as they give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger's guidance, I know English sometimes. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the wall, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you as if wishing to appraise your worth. The last time you felt like this was at your previous job interview. It was like being a piece of livestock, inspected from all sides for any imperfections. So your wage could be haggled down. It was dehumanizing, and it made you feel dirty. When they called you the next day to offer you the job, you declined. Even when you're a nobody, you become even less if you trade away your dignity for a paycheck. The memory makes you feel warmer inside, even now, although the state of your bank account never did. Good evening, Kadir, and to you, child. The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, crowd of strangers. You being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Okay, so I need to kind of get more, well, I guess not kind of get more, but I'm trying to get more into the headspace of everything, and so far I'm going to go risk it, because with being embraced by the Brujah and just kind of been trying to do a rebellious streak to begin with, I'm going to go with, who are you calling a child? The Prince of New York City, Helen Panhard, child of Michelle, is addressing you. Well, you will show respect. My sheriff, this harshness is unnecessary. This fledgling clearly does not grasp the finer points of our argot. She is somewhat plain looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still, the entire room is intently focusing on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear. You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. Don't understand, remain silent, or punish me for it. I'm just gonna remain silent. You decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. It feels like you're out of your depth here. Shall we begin? You are about to be judged by the Court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe? A trusted informant, who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time, tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. The hunger made him savage, a prostitute and his client in a Bronx brothel belonging to one of the ministry. I've already spoken to Sansarik about this and made sure it'll blow over. The fledgling proved to have quite the nerve and an unruly tongue. As could be expected, this young kindred's instincts got the better of him, and I had to use force for him to comply, as evidenced by the damage to his garments. You can hear somebody chuckle. A few guests glance at the hole in your t-shirt. You realize the damage to your chest is almost gone, as if it mended on its own. That first lesson proved sufficient, and he did not oppose me tonight. His baser nature took over during the drive here, but I'm relieved to note he managed to compose himself before I was forced to intervene. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. Take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair, and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Thank you, Kadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior, and I will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there's the matter of your sire, the person who brought you where Kadir picked you up from last night. Who were they? A Latina woman, very radical. Unless she convincingly lied to me, she was special, extraordinary. She had fire, conviction, temper. She seduced me easily, in fact. Made me think she wanted me. I fell for it. Now I'm here. It feels awkward talking to a room full of strangers about what seemed like a random one-night stand at the time. Not to mention that, even though the Latina made an impression on you for sure, her face is already fading from your mind. You realize she never even told you her name. Well, Kadir, does that sound familiar? No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here. Can I go now? What happens now? Or the receptionist she spoke to made her. That chick. She rented out our room in the motel. Talk to the receptionist. He might know something about her. Unlikely, but regardless, thank you for that observation. I will investigate this later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand just for a moment longer, Kadir. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask Kadir about what all that talk of traditions and councils was, when the red-haired woman approaches the two. Excuse me. Sophie? Oh, excuse me. Alright, time for more. Alright. Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Kadir. We all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight, after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, fledgling, you're in quite the pickle. What the hell is with this party for rich signals? Looks like something straight out of a conspiracy theory. Everyone here knows a thing or two about conspiracies, but we don't have time to discuss those right now, so I'll stick to explaining what concerns you, most directly. Last night you became a vampire. Wait, what? Oh yes, I'm well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. The reason we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. Being called vampires, looking at them. They're us. Glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale. Really pale, most holding glasses of wine. No. Not wine. That's not the right thickness, and not the right color either. Trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. Drank blood last night, there's no denying it. Your breath has not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might be, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, what the fuck, on repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Kadir deliberately kept keeping you in the dark and all. We do nothing, you will be cut down as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and Kadir's complaints about your behavior won't influence her judgment. This society values docility. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I am not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. What happens if I refuse? I believe I know what the prince will ordain, and I am certain Kadir will do his duty. You, my poor fledgling, will die, for good this time. With me, there's a chance you will not. I can be your guide in this new reality. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again. Alright, so, just so I'm not spending this entire time, like last episode, completely reading what's going on, and just because I need like a slight break from trying to do voices, I lost track of what I was going to say now. Yes, alright, so, as you notice, I keep stumbling and repeating words because reading is hard, so just keep that in mind. Reading is hard. But still read, because reading is also fun. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gathered here tonight. I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. Their behavior since being embraced has been disagreeable, and that does not bode well for them becoming a valuable member of our society. You are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. As our trusted sheriff pointed out, there can be only one course of action. Although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinions on this, She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a somewhat plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence, it is their progeny that shall be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Kadir? You hear a scraping sound and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It's a beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you as he meets your eyes. You note just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. And he's out to bat. He'll not get another chance to speak up. I really want to try that, but I will, in order to not get a game over and have to redo half of this stuff, or possibly, because I'm not entirely sure, ask for mercy. You make your choice. I am not going down like this, damn it. Spare me. Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer. Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above, threatening to fall at a moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The border elites suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear that you won't take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This legend is a burden, but with proper guidance they could become an asset to our domain. And I understand that you are volunteering to take this unruly child under your protection? Yes, I am willing to give them a chance and prove to the entire domain that they can adhere to our expectations. I will take nothing less than their full cooperation, naturally. Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two, a hush, just behead the fucker. Some suppress exclamations of surprise. Silence. I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in the child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that this is a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if you please. If it pleases you. I am just going to remain silent, because this is surreal. Alright, where? It's clear tensions are high. Feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing your death. Or second death, apparently, and keeping silent. You decide it's best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyes wide shut crowd. The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye on one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla, substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. She turns to you. What is your name, child? Teranz, Prince. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Teranz. Alright, let's look at the dictionary. The Camarilla, a major sect of vampires devoted primarily to maintaining the masquerade through influence and manipulation of mortal society. And that's the only term I've got. Alright. Now, this evening proved to be even more eventful than I anticipated. With the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Fledgling is a newly created vampire, still under the sire's protection. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Hey dear, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties? Of course, Prince. Prince, a vampire who has claimed a given expanse of domain as their own, generally a city, and supports that claim against all others. The term can refer to kindred of either sex. He shoots you a glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched, you will be judged, and if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Teranz, I think we are both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to a new fruitful partnership. She raises her hand to one of the well-dressed concierges who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. He pours it into 2 tall glasses. You can barely wait until he hands you the drink. Your attention is fully on it. The fact that it's blood, you are certain of it. Doesn't faze you this time. While Sophie sips her drink, you realize that this hunger can only be satiated by drinking the whole glass in almost a single gulp. Hunger is the urge to feed. For vampires, the hunger replaces all other drives with its own powerful call. As the liquid coats your throat, blissful relief takes hold. A posh woman passing by rolls her eyes at your lack of etiquette, but Sophie pays her no mind. Kadir has been starving you, hasn't he? Let's see if I can do something about that. She motions again. The man returns and gives you a refill. This time you find yourself having more control. You take a sip. Savor it. It's smoky and warm, making you think of a cozy cabin in the woods. It does strike you as a strange image for your mind to. Let me start that over. All right. It does strike you as a strange image for your mind to jump to when drinking human blood. But it is what it is. Never tasted anything like it. Do you like it? I think NYC caterers have very bourgeois ideas about what good blood should taste like. Apologies. You must have so many questions. While we're on the topic, perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. I feel this hunger constantly. How much do I have to drink to make it go away? The sad reality is, it will never go away. No matter how much you drink, you'll always be tempted to have more. Unless you consume someone holy, to the last drop, paying for temporary relief with their life. But that is a one-way road to losing your humanity. Best start by just taking a single sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood will be more satisfying than most anything they serve in a fancy glass. They can make you more voracious. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky and will tempt the beast. That is part of our curse. Alright. Vessel, source of blood for sustenance or pleasure, primarily mortal. The beast is I don't know that word, incoat drives and urges that threaten to turn a vampire into a mindless raving monster. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting and we will explore this topic further. The blood you're having tonight should be enough to keep you happy for now. I will actually use this point to save because it is about that time. I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button down below and hit subscribe to stay tuned for more Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York.